1 week later, what we've learned about the 10 people killed in a Bering Air plane crash and the new approaches being taken in the investigation.
Plus, the verdict is in for the man accused of killing an Anchorage apartment property manager. See what evidence led the jury to their decision.
And snow arrives in South Central just in time for the holiday weekend. I'll let you know how much to expect.
Of course, I'd sign it, Bobby. I love you, and huggers and kisses.
And decades of dedication and love, a local couple explains their very consistent tradition.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Good evening. It has been 1 week since 10 Alaskans died after the crash of a Bering Air flight outside of Nome.
And new tonight, since 5 o'clock tonight, Alaska's News Source Investigates has learned where the NTSB says that they will house the wreckage. Telling our investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn their investigations also bringing in weather experts. Johnson.
That's right. With a 17-member investigative team now sorting through the wreckage still housed at the Nome airport, the NTSB Alaska Regional Chief Clint Johnson tells me they've added 2 forensic meteorologists to the team, who he says is working to learn what weather information the pilot received before and during the flight.
We're in the process of just now getting preliminary information.
Johnson says as part of the preliminary process, the team will rely on the forensic meteorologist to assist in reviewing the weather data the pilot received, especially during the point the Coast Guard says the plane was in the holding pattern prior to experiencing its rapid loss in elevation and speed.
How that process works. We're basically gonna look at from the time that the pilot got there, first flight of the day, all the way down to when the accident took place. Again, forensically putting that together, weather information, operations information, as far as like training and everything that has to do with that flight is going to be looked at with a microscope.
And Johnson says the team plans to move the wreckage first to Anchorage, then to the Wasilla area. That's where most of the investigation will be conducted. While Johnson says the investigation is likely to take more than 1 year, he expects a preliminary report to be released by the end of the month. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's News Source.
And here's a look at the 10 people on that flight as we honor them and learn more about the investigation. You can find updates on our website.
An Anchorage man has been found guilty of all counts in the shooting death of an apartment manager in 2023.
Jesse Jones was accused of killing Josiah Gerker in the leasing office of the Alpine Apartments after learning that his lease would not be renewed. The shooting was captured on video, and the jury also listened to an audio recording of Jones telling a detective of his intent to kill the person who posted the notice on his door.
I went in there with ill will and ill intentions.
And you went in there to do what?
To kill him.
To kill him?
Yeah.
Jones was convicted of 5 counts, including first-degree murder, a charge that could bring him up to 99 years in prison. Sentencing set for mid-July.
Senators Sullivan and Murkowski introduced a bill in the U.S. Senate today to keep the name Denali for North America's highest peak. If passed, the legislation would require any federal reference to the mountain to use Denali, the Athabascan word meaning the high one. On his first day in office, President Donald Trump signed an executive order changing the name to Mount McKinley. Last week, the Alaska State Legislature overwhelmingly voted to pass a resolution urging the president to reverse that executive order.
This magnificent mountain is something that each of us hold in our heart, that we hold dear. For these last 100 years or so, we've continued to call our great mountain Denali, regardless. And we'll continue to do that 100 years going forward.
The senator says this is the 4th Congress she's introduced this legislation in.
And it's been a while, but snow is back in the forecast for South Central.
Those flakes already coming down in Valdez, we're told. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry tracking that storm.
Yeah, John, Rebecca, so fun to have snow in the forecast, right? We haven't seen it so far this month, and it's not going to be a ton of snow for locations like Anchorage, but we will see some pockets of heavy snow in South Central that could impact your travel plans over the weekend. Here's a look at that live radar. Again, a little light snow already showing up here from Cooper Landing north across Cook Inlet. Also tracking heavy rain just offshore, but turning to snow near Cordova and Valdez. That snow already beginning to move up closer to Thompson Pass through Keystone Canyon. And we do have a number of warnings and advisories in effect, not only for the snow in South Central, but also for blowing snow that we're going to see north of Fairbanks along the Dalton Highway and for much of the Arctic coastline. Now, as for that snow in South Central, again, starting overnight tonight, most of it ending by Friday evening, but some showers lingering through Saturday morning. Thompson Pass, we're talking 7 to 12 inches for you, 5 to 10 near Cordova, and 8 to 12 inches in Yakutat. Also seeing those wind gusts to 40 miles per hour. So again, in those areas, that's where we could see some blowing snow and poor visibility. Right now, it's still dry and calm in Anchorage, 21 degrees, but we will see chances for at least a few flurries showing up overnight tonight. Dry north into Fairbanks to the slope and dry all the way down the west coast. Again, it's just the wind that we have that concern for on the slope. So again, the storm system sticking with us in South Central tonight into Saturday morning. There is a second one coming on Sunday that will also bring back some showers to the coastal areas. Otherwise, temperatures, they're warming just slightly, getting back into those low 20s near Anchorage, back up to 8 in Fairbanks. And I'll have that full statewide forecast here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Melissa. Still ahead, promoting heart and brain health in women. A look at tomorrow's Go Red for Women luncheon in Anchorage Plus.
We could be in the storm, we'd just turn around and kiss each other.
A Valentine tradition standing the test of time. What one local couple has been doing since the 80s to showcase their love.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Well, tomorrow, the American Heart Association will be hosting its Go Red for Women luncheon at the Denina Center in downtown Anchorage. The event focusing on education and research for cardiovascular disease and strokes in women.
Joining us live in the newsroom is one of this year's Go Red for Women ambassadors and a local OBGYN, Dr. Leslie Kaiko Travis. Thank you for joining us today. Tell us about tomorrow's event.
So tomorrow's event is a large health expo promoting women's health as it relates to heart and brain health, cardiovascular disease, stroke health. So it's going to be a wonderful event.
And Leslie, you can speak, from experience. You're a stroke survivor. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to recovery?
Yes, I suffered a hemorrhagic stroke from a ruptured brain aneurysm in 2023.
And how has your recovery been so far?
I'm still in recovery, but I'm very blessed and grateful to be able to do my life's work, which is actually in women's health. I'm a local OBGYN, and so it just seems very natural for me to participate in this event, and I'm so grateful to be able to continue that work.
Did you have any warning signs beforehand?
So I do have hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and I do take medication for blood pressure, but sometimes these things you don't get any warning signs, but I did have a very severe, we call it a thunderclap headache, that just was, one of those headaches that was the worst headache of your life kind of thing, and I knew that something was terribly wrong.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you were an OBGYN. Can you talk about some of the heart problems that women can face, maybe during pregnancy or menopause?
Absolutely. I see women every day that are in different life stages, from pregnancy to menopause, those conditions can put you at even higher risk for cardiovascular events. So it is very important to get preventative care so that we're not just dealing with emergencies and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's very humbling, and I learn a lot every day.
Thank you so much for your time, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's News Source app.